Look, if you want to read it, read Stanley Lane Poe's The Moors in Spain, written in 1887, or Alejandro Macaziza. Read his book in Spanish, The Moors in Spain, and said that even the bath was introduced by those Africans.
Ain't no goddamn motion picture.
They got me looking for the artifacts till my heart collapse. I be running through the scene like I'm on a lab. The way we left them on the scene put us on a map. So I be all up on the scene looking hard for all the stolen Moorish artifacts, huh? Like I'm Artemis. See, I be running through the scene like I'm on a mission. The way they left about the scene made it hard to miss them. See, I be all up on the scene looking for my shit like red flags and green sashes. We assassins. Triple gold, my fist high like I'm Selassie. Physical, your men die, we everlasting. In the cold like Northgate, winter, Alaska. Killing the pastor, breaking it down my mind like a disaster. Ass whipping the bastard. If you don't represent the serpentine bloodline, more by bloodline, welcome to the front line. Baby, I want mine. I'm so impatient, I'm cutting up in the lunch line. I call it crunch time. They tryna punk some, but I ain't Noble Time. I'm Noble Draw Lee. I'm working overtime. Hidden treaty, 1787 times 711, higher than 7 heavens. Steady, no guessing. Better stomach the lesson. Who be trapping the house? I'm home alone like Kevin. So step in. I'm here to make my case with law and rest it. I shouldn't taught a fly, no heads, necklace. I keep a Baphomet on the top of the dresser, working 7 days a year, looking for the stolen Moorish artifacts, huh? Like I'm Artemis. See, I be running through the scene like I'm on a mission. The way they left about the scene made it hard to miss them. See, I be all up on the scene looking for my shit like.
Doctrine of discovery for Maghreb Al-Aqsa. Always challenge jurisdiction of your captors. Stand on your square, no apron or protractors. Who manifest Hep chefs, certain not Cleopatra. Man is man tantra, know that self mantra. Get out the lower self and vibrate your chakras. Walking on the higher road, my staff on my levels of Allah. If my God protected more with the sevens up. Four quadrant halos, celestial pharaohs. Expose those Socrates and Plato's. Chopped down my cherry tree and still couldn't bury me. In their secret lodges, they pretend to be me. Indiana Jones, national treasures. Angels and demons and one world agendas. Razor blade smiles, alien, reptilian. Running corporate governments with ward civilians. Invisible wars, police state has risen. Uplifting, falling from their mental prisons. 5-point star drawn, vortex and wormholes. Leads to behind the backs of turncoats.
Stolen Moorish artifacts, huh? Like I'm Artemis. See, I be running through the scene like I'm on a mission. The way they left about the scene made it hard to miss them. See, I be all up on the scene looking for my shit like.
But remember, when there came a time in 1506, Africans ruled Spain from 711. We were calling ourselves Moors, M-A-U-E-R-S, then M-O-O-R-S, from 711 until 1485.
Raka! North Star! That way. The North Star's that way. Canaanland moves. Read off we pay every day. Uplift the fee cause we all base. We enforce the law and we obey. Forefathers from before is still today. Reading my Quran and my Torah. Universal laws in more ways. Read 4 chapters, receive it 4 ways. Great divine love rules our verse. Before I circle blocks, man, I circle sevens first. You bust the image, but your rhymes hurt. You clear 13 disrespected earth. Raka! North Star! That way. The North Star's that way. Canaanland moves. Read off we pay every day. Uplift the fee cause we all base. We enforce the law and we obey. Forefathers from before is still today. Reading my Quran and my Torah. Universal laws in more ways. Read 4 chapters, receive it 4 ways. Great divine love rules our verse. Before I circle blocks, man, I circle sevens first. You bust the image, but your rhymes hurt. You clear 13 disrespected earth. Love, but it's all in God's plan. Today's mathematics don't judge a man. Unity of life, embodiment of truth. I'm responsible for every deed cause I seen the proof. No but Drew X. Do I have to draw it out for you? Cause nationality is not a color I can use. Jerry Spruce, standing on my square, even without shoes. On the highest authority, spirit of blue. Marcus Coffee, whirlwind times 2. The world's in the wind when the trumpet blew. Rock.
Stand up, go into your bathroom. If you got a big floor to ceiling, cut the light on and stare and take a good hard look at yourself. You are the Moorish government, you know, and it took me a long time to get to understand that concept. I self-law am master. If I can govern myself, if I can govern my household, that's what I should be doing. Why should I walk out of my door and then leave everything that I know about myself in the house to go out and adopt something that I have no knowledge thereof? Offense. So we need to stop asking that question. I ask myself this question: if not me, then who?
Death and wisdom, my friends, intelligent creatures, guardians of sacred knowledge, Olmecan features, secrets of the afterlife, manifest the present day. Dirty Moors and scoundrels lose their heads in a pleasant way. Deceit and deception, negative past thoughts, keeps awareness on point, spirit messages never off. Inner realizations, encounter the higher selves, next plane existence, explains my consistence. Without a foe you never know, so past most resistant. Divinity, my twin flame, side chick and mistress, metaphysic, Kabbalistic, Almaroc mystic, patriarch, papistics, make my thoughts sadistic, so indigenous, call me Americanistic, invoking the ancestors, Saracen cryptic, suns on rotation, flows ecliptic, shatter all illusions, reveal the realistic, sitting in the dark, holding the light marvelous, recognize the artifice.
Raka! North Star! That way. North Star's that way. Canaanland moves. Read off pay every day. Uplift the V cause we are base. We enforce the law and we obey. Forefathers from before is still today. Reading my Quran and my Torah. Universal laws in more ways. Read 4 chapters, receive it 4 ways. Great divine love rules our verse. Before I circle blocks, man, I circle sevens first. You bust the image, but your rhymes hurt. Declare 13 disrespected earth. Love, but it's all in God's plan. Today's mathematics don't judge a man. Unity of life, embodiment of truth. I'm responsible for every deed, cause I seen the proof. No, but Drew X. Do I have to draw it out for you? Cause nationality is not a color I can use. Jerry Spruce, standing on my square, even without shoes. On the highest authority, spirit of blue. Marcus Coffee, whirlwind times 2. The world's in the wind when the trumpet blew.
Stand up, go into your bathroom. If you got a big floor to ceiling, cut the light on and stare and take a good hard look at yourself. You are the Moorish government, you know, and it took me a long time to get to understand that concept. I self-law am master. If I can govern myself, if I can govern my household, that's what I should be doing. Why should I walk out of my door and then leave everything that I know about myself in the house to go out and adopt something that I have no knowledge thereof? Offense. So we need to stop asking that question. I ask myself this question: if not me, then who?
Death and wisdom, my friends, intelligent creatures, guardians of sacred knowledge, Olmecan features, secrets of the afterlife, manifest the present day. Dirty Moors and scoundrels lose their heads in a pleasant way. Deceit and deception, negative past thoughts, keeps awareness on point, spirit messages never off. Inner realizations, encounter the higher selves, next plane existence, explains my consistence. Without a foe you never know, so past most resistant. Divinity, my twin flame, side chick and mistress, metaphysic, Kabbalistic, Almarak mystic, patriarch, papistics, make my thoughts sadistic, so indigenous, call me Americanistic, invoking the ancestors, Saracen cryptic, suns on rotation, flows ecliptic, shatter all illusions, reveal the realistic, sitting in the dark, holding the light marvelous, recognize the artifice, skin so carbonous, hair so antenna, I feel them from Vienna, myriad of virtues, lessons, in reptilian henna, enlightenment seekers won't find it in mainstream, focus as a laser, stay balanced like a beam, not even a gymnast, whenever I flip this, as above so below, get out when within this, don't think I'm a slave cause I speak in English, Drew Ali the water, watch your flames get extinguished, living in your higher lower self is relinquished, reputation of master teachers, call it distinguished.
He was saying in that last video I just posted, my right of informed consent is protected by national and international law, Universal Declaration on Bioethics and Human Rights, Article 6, Code of Federal Regulation, Title 21, Part 50, Geneva Convention. I think that's 10. 1949, Article 32, Nuremburg Code of Informed Consent, Missouri versus McNeil. 509 U.S. 2013, period. So, shout out to what he was saying in that last video.
Shout out to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Shout out to him. Because he's the first exemption guy. Declared his nationality and exempt from being Negro, black, colored, or whatever else these people made up. Noble Drew Ali is the man. He's the founder of everything that you're looking at right now. All that holistic stuff, he's the founder of that. Get the hell out of here. And nobody was teaching that in America before Noble Drew Ali. Who was teaching you Negroes to go do yoga? Tell me, name somebody. Name somebody who was telling you to go study Asiatic culture and honor all the prophets. And if you study Buddha, you'll get into yoga. Get the hell out of here. Get all the way the hell out of here. And what's crazy, it's Moors telling you about Nuremberg Code reason for exemption. The hell you going to Nuremberg Code for? Oh, because some European over there fighting some COVID stuff because they don't want to get jabbed. They're pulling up all this stuff and now here comes Moors. Forget what Noble Drew Ali said. Let's use all these European stuff to prove our point. Forget what Noble Drew Ali said. How about he said you have a right to a nationality? How about he said nationality is the order of the day, not vaccine exemption? Vaccine exemption is not the order of the day. Vaccine exemption is not the order of the day. I don't care if people out there start dropping like flies. Vaccine exemption is still not the order of the day. And the fact that people aren't out there dropping like flies, we're not even going to say anything because we know the fact checkers are listening. We know you fact checkers are out there waiting for us to say the C word and all that stuff so you could tell us that we're bullying somebody when we tell them about what we're doing as Moors. And our problem as Moors is all our other people who don't want to be Moors. That's our biggest problem. Our biggest problem as Moors, forget dirty Moors and all that, because even though they know that they're Moors, forget all these Illuminati whoever's, because all of them know about nationality. They're European, German, Swedish, or whatever. And they know about nationality. The problem is the dumb Negroes in America and anywhere else in the world who keep playing this game that they're Negro, black, colored, or African, came somewhere from some ship, somebody brought them there. Never do they talk about nationality. So we don't even have the problem with the enemy. Because if I go to the enemy right now, what's your nationality? He's not going to say white or yellow or orange, purple, blue. the blue nation from whatever. We're going to say nationality. And when you go and check, you want to talk about Nuremberg Code? All right, let's go check. Let's go check and see what the hell's going on. See what this has to do with Negro, black, colored people. Want to claim exemptions from Nuremberg. You're claiming convent half the way across the planet. You're claiming some stuff, and you don't even have your stuff settled right here where you're at. The hell out of here. British Medical Journal, number 7070, volume 313. Page 1448. The 7th of December. Are you telling me that all you people are missing what's going on right now? That these Nuremberg people are even telling you what it's about? And you're sitting here using their thing as a reference when they're using you as a reference? Hold on a second. British Medical Journal, number 7070, volume 313, we're 7 again. Now, how much more do we really need to read the rest of this? Is there a reason? Is there a reason? Is there a reason? Do you really think there's a reason? If as soon as you go to the court, everybody's 6'6", 250 pounds, you probably don't even think about just go back in the stands. Because you're not getting on today. Just go in the stands and go cheer for somebody. Introduction. The judgment by the War Crimes Tribunal at Nuremberg laid down 10 standards to which physicians must conform when carrying out experiments on human subjects. In a new code that is now accepted worldwide. So the world is accepting this, right? The world is accepting this. Tell me that Ethiopia didn't get colonized. The world is accepting this. And if this isn't colonization of your rights, then you're really out to lunch. You're out to supper. This judgment established a new standard of ethical medical behavior for the post-World War human rights era. Amongst other requirements, this document enunciates the requirement of voluntary informed consent of the human subject. The principle of voluntary informed consent protects the right of the individual to control his own body. This code also recognizes that the risk must be weighted against the expected benefit, and that unnecessary pain and suffering must be avoided. This code recognizes that doctors should avoid actions that injure human patients. The principles established by this code for medical practice now have been extended into general codes of medical ethics. So the world is riding with this, right? So let's go back now and really see what they're down with. Let's go back and check, because, you know, as Aboriginal and Indigenous people, we can go to American Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People. Men don't know Nuremburg Code. We'll go right here in this land, right here, where we're at. We're not going across Africa. We never came here on no slave ship. They got stuff for us here. We don't got to go UN for some stuff. We got stuff right here for the Moors, right here, right now. But Moors want to be Negro, black, colored. They came over here on a slave ship, and they got to be given some rights from some colonists. That's why Noble Drew Ali is the man. And we're always going to bring up his name. Oh yeah, matter of fact, might as well just do it this way. So every time we slap them, you're going to have to stare. You're going to have to take the death stare. And don't forget, we didn't even get to the code yet. We didn't even get to the code yet. So Noble Drew Ali told these Moors, you're from Missouri. He told you you're from Missouri. He took Moors to certain places of indigenous culture and dug in the ground and pulled up stuff that was Egyptian over here. He was known as the Egyptian adept. Not the Moorish adept, the Egyptian adept. Well, he's in America. Why is he known as the Egyptian adept, but he's in America? We're going to have to take the death stare. This is the death in the face that you're talking about. You're going to have to look at. The fact that you tried to deny him and his message. But everyone's riding with him, including the American Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People that came after him, recognizing the rights of indigenous people, recognizing it, not debating. It's recognized throughout the world that indigenous people have these rights. How come you're not riding with that? Why are you riding with some Nuremberg Code? Why don't you ride with the Aboriginal and Indigenous rights that the world recognizes? Oh yeah, because a majority of these people coming into this, they're just Negroes with turbans and feathers on. They're not Moors. Negroes with Ellen Bay. They're not Moors. They're some Negroes with Ellen Bay. Because they're telling me ride with some Nuremberg Code, which has to do with human subjects. And if you're a subject, obviously you're not a national if you're a subject. I don't care how much national you say on that card. You're a human subject? Oh. All right. Oh yeah. And don't forget, RV Bay Publications been told you and been had the exemption writ up there, and you're playing around with some little card some guy made up yesterday. Where was this Nuremberg Code exemption stuff when it was swine flu? Because when it was swine flu, Moors were using their immunization rate. When it was bird flu, Moors using the immunization rate. When it was flu shot, Moors using the immunization rate. But here these Johnny-come-latelys pushing their Nuremberg Code violation card trying to say rights. That's not rights. That's Nuremberg Code, which is for human patience. I thought you were a national. Well, you're just a nigger with a fez on. That's all. Just a nigger with a fez. We know you people out here causing confusion as usual. Bringing in all this European stuff into the Moorish paradigm. Having this stuff messed up. Having this stuff messed up. Exemption up there for years. People paid no mind to it. Now these people have it's not even a real thing that you need an exemption. They know this stuff's not real. Where are the bodies in the street? Stop the BS. What do you mean? This is the martial law stuff that you people were listening to and thinking about, that it's not coming and all that stuff, and martial law. That's what's going on right now with the stuff. You don't realize? You don't realize everybody's violating Nuremberg Code? Why? Because it's a fraud. Because it's for human subjects. Are you humans? Okay, you want to play you're a human subject, huh? That's what you're playing? Alright. How come you didn't use the Belmont report? How come, is that listed on your little card there? Look at your little card. Let's just see what you guys got on here. Oh yeah, get some death stare too while you're at it. Get some death stare while you're at it. It's not no love time right now, it's justice time. It's been justice time. Get out of here with your huggy, kissy BS. Right? My right. Who's my? What's my? What's my? Who's that? Who's my? My is a nationality? So my is a nationality now. It's not I? Oh, it's my, yeah? That's, okay. Alright. Any individual? The individual, who's that? I thought you were supposed to name the parties. So you're going to name the parties down here. Universal Declaration on the Bioethics and Human Rights, Article 6 and all that stuff, and you're not going to, right? Oh yeah, perfect. And then the Moor went on there and told them, no treaty, no constitution, no nationality, no divine creed, no birthrights, no alienable rights, no UN drip, no AMDRIP, no case laws, no protection, Allah subhina wa ta'ala, aka Allah subhina what I tell you. Because people are here playing games. I know, Johnny Gill ass, my, this and that. Not talking about anything, and then having people running. I saw you post the exemption. How do I get the exemption? What do you mean? Did you read the caption? So you're riding with Nuremberg Code to protect you, human subject. Hand over the face. So you're not a national anymore. You're not a Moorish American. Now you're a human subject. Now you're repping. I thought human was the race. That's not. The Belmont report. ethical principles and guides for the protection of human subjects of research. So you're a human subject. You just put yourself in the maze. You just put yourself in the maze. Because you're watching people, especially these modern Europeans, panicking out their mind right now, trying to figure out what they're going to do. And then our people not doing what they're supposed to do, which is declare their nationality. They're not Negro, black, colored, African, came on a slave ship, and all that stuff. And then we're going to start talking about let's be exempt from something. And if you're a Moor, your exemption is American Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. That's your exemption. Ain't no other exemption for you. If you're going to use something else, then don't complain. Because remember, once you're committing fraud, they're going to let you do whatever. Because it's not coming back on them. You're the one committing fraud by not having a nationality but claiming to be a subject. Remember, this is American Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People. American Declaration. And American doesn't mean some Europeans came over to America and started calling themselves American. Indigenous people have the collective and individual right to the enjoyment of highest attainable standard of physical, mental, and spiritual health. The indigenous people have the right to their own health systems and practices, as well as the use and protection from the plants, animals, minerals of vital interest, and other natural resources for medicinal use in their ancestral lands and territories. States shall take measures to prevent and prohibit indigenous peoples and individuals from being subject to research programs, biological or medical experimentation, as well as sterilization without their free, prior, and informed consent. Likewise, indigenous people and persons have the right, as appropriate, to access to their data, medical records, and documentation of research conducted by individuals and public and private institutions. I thought public and private were separate. Aren't all the course selling you a course, people teaching you that public and private is separate? And then, so how come, if public and private separate, then how come indigenous people have the right to talk to both of those jurisdictions? Because the only one is the heir. Everybody else is a foreigner and needs to go back to where they came from. And you better be acknowledging that the indigenous people have these God-given inalienable rights that you can't even do anything about it. You just have to accept it. Indigenous peoples have the right to use, without any discrimination whatsoever, all the health and medical care institutions and services accessible to the general population. So we don't need our own hospital as Moors. We can go to these people's hospital. They got American Declaration of Rights that they have to acknowledge Moors when they go there. And not only acknowledge them, but whether they got whatever they're requesting is needed to get the service of the hospital, they have to serve the indigenous people. Doesn't matter. They're obligated. And these are part of the things that's supposed to be happening, and you wouldn't be having issues with indigenous whatever. Because if they found these bodies of indigenous people, the people who put the bodies there could say, well, you know, we did our part. We gave you the 50 million. Because your chief took it and did BS with it, that has nothing to do with us. We gave you your 50 million. The state's obligated to assist the indigenous people. You didn't realize? Okay, let's go again. Remember, this is not UN. Remember, this is not UN over there. This is Organization of American States over here. That nobody brings up, nobody talks about them. They always tell you go across the Atlantic Ocean, which would be you abandon your birthright. Because where you going over there? You got stuff right here. What are you looking at UN over there for? What are you looking over there for? You left something over there? Indigenous people have the right to use without any discrimination whatsoever. Without any discrimination whatsoever. Right? And this applies to all the rights. So as somebody who's indigenous, nobody can ask you about did you get something or why don't you wear something. Who are you? You're a foreigner. You can't tell me anything. Read it right here. American Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People. I'm indigenous, so what are you going to violate international law? That's what you're going to do right now? Well, if you're going to violate international law, then stuff is over. You might as well throw in the towel. Everybody take their pill. Then all the other people push the button. Stuff's over. So it'll take everybody up. If they're gonna cheat like that, you might as well hit the panic button. Because they've been violating you already. If you haven't noticed all the streaks in the sky that you call clouds. If you haven't noticed. They've been told you fluoride's in the water. You're still drinking. Right? Colonization is on and popping. Well, they changed the name of gentrification. These are rights that indigenous people have, but they're running the Nuremberg Code to be human subjects. And then get the exemption and then think that they did something. You're still a human subject, dummy. You're still in the jurisdiction of subject, which means you're a ward and they can do whatever they want to you, because don't think because if you could evade the vaccine but you can't evade sucrose and fructose, you got issues. You seriously have issues. Indigenous people have the right to use, without any discrimination whatsoever, all the health and medical care institutions and services accessible to the general public. States in consultation and coordination with indigenous people shall promote intercultural systems or practices in the medical and health services provided in indigenous communities, including training of indigenous technical and professional health care personnel. States shall guarantee the effective exercise of the rights contained in this article. How come the state's not guaranteeing it? Because all these people want to be Negro, black, colored, which is our problem. They want to declare their nationality. And the little pocket of Moors that are doing something right, and that ain't not going to do anything. Not going to do. It's only going to get you your karmic credit. So when you get out of here, at least, you got something to look forward to. The scales are tipped in favor of the colonists because of our people claiming they're for the liberation of whatever, they're touching people's children. And then you're riding with them. They haven't shown you anything, proven anything to you. Moors been putting work in for 100 years. Do you know how crazy it is that you don't know who Noble Drew Ali is? And you know everybody else? You know everybody else, and you don't know him. And you have no respect for what he brought. When he brought you everything it takes to save a nation, and told you save yourself with it because you can't trust any of these people around you because all of them sold you out. They sold him out. He got murdered. Don't worry about Malcolm murder and Martin murder and Fred Hampton murder. Noble Drew Ali got murdered. When they're talking about that murder. Oh yeah, because he's not black, so they're not going to talk about him. When he's the integral piece to this, all this stuff being sorted out and figured out and us actually doing something. He's the missing piece. And they're going to do their best to keep him out the way. And have you chasing after all these jokers, bringing everything to you except what it takes to save you. Bringing everything to you except what it, right? How come they don't go to the Declaration of Helsinki for the ethical principles of medical research involving human subjects? They're human subjects. Why aren't they using this? Why isn't this listed on their card? Because it really doesn't matter what's listed, because you're putting yourself in the subject status and calling yourself a race. You're human now? I thought that's the race. Human's not an identity of somebody. And that's how the world gets played, because of the connotative denotative. Yep, drill that truth in. You can't make this up. Drill it in. You can't make this up. The Common Rule. The Common Rule, first published in 1991, also known as the Federal Policy for the protection of human subjects is dictated by the Office of Human Research Protections under the United States Department of Health and Human Services, and serves as a set of guidelines for institutional review boards obtaining informed consent and assurances of compliance for human subject participants in research studies. So if you're claiming human subject rights, because there are rights, right? So every level has rights. Even corporations have rights. They got rights. So it's not an issue of rights, because everything has rights. Plants have rights. Fish and all that have rights. They got rights too. Our thing is, what rights are we attaching ourselves to? Because every right, even though the rights are there, every right doesn't apply. There's certain rights that only apply to certain jurisdictions. That's why we always relate back to the Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People. Because we're not talking about serfdom. We're not talking about wardship. You admitting that you're a human subject, and then in the other hand you have a nationality card, they're going with the human subject and avoid the nationality card. Because you're not supposed to give them a red and a blue pill. You're not supposed to have a choice. It's time to leave the cocoon. This is not, you know what I mean? You're getting pushed out the nest and you're going to fly or not. So this is not a thing about rights, how people would look at it. Because even the right to exist, everything has that right. Even inanimate things. The TV has a right to get dusted once in a while. The dust has a right to land. And you're not going to do nothing about it. And then it's going to land and you're not going to do nothing about it ever. There's always going to be dust. That's a right that only applies to that. Nose hairs have rights, which are connected to the body and the whole functioning of the thing. So don't get lost in it that it's about rights. Because they dangle some card out there, you telling you about, oh yeah, you have the right to exemption over here, and then you go for it, and now you're in the jurisdiction of being a subject for international research now. Then you had all these other people jump on it with you, opposed to Aboriginal and Indigenous, already been putting different writs on the record that this one is just going to be standardly accepted. Why would there be denial? As soon as they punching up, Great Seal up, oh, there's other stuff. Because it's the other way to look at it is, when there's corruption, there has to be windows. When there's fraud, there has to be windows. There always has to be a way out in fraud. Fraud's going to happen. If you can get out the other side, then you got out. You know, most people get caught because they get greedy. And then mountain falls on you because, you know, you had the window, it took it, and then you played yourself. Stop playing yourself. Chasing after all these individuals pushing stuff on you as if this is how that works. It doesn't work like that. This is about knowledge of self. This is about knowing who you and your forefathers were without doubt or contradiction. It's not about you have some card for some exemption. You don't get exemptions like that. You can't get an exemption. There's some level of wardship happening if somebody's giving it to you. Right. That's why everything downloadable on RVB Publications is open for use. Because you have to be competent in order to use it. If you're not competent, it won't work. And when it doesn't work, it's not the thing. It's your incompetency. Why stuff got messed up. Because you were incompetent. And they have it to the point now where you are putting yourself in the jurisdictions. When Drali brought you the supreme jurisdiction, nationality. He brought you the supreme jurisdiction. The jurisdiction that no one else could claim. Because for them to claim it, our people, for them to claim it, they have to recognize it. And there's nothing else that could be done but Moors being themselves, which Moors be themselves. And that's the reason why you even have the opportunities to bring up Nuremberg Code or whatever for some exemption. Because of the rights of the indigenous people before that had these rights. But remember, those rights only apply to subjects. And if you're a subject, then human rights don't apply to you. Subject rights apply to you. And there's a big difference between subject rights and human rights. There's a big difference between subject rights and human rights. And they want you to be in the jurisdiction of subject rights. Because if you're in the jurisdiction of human subject, then you are about being used for research. That's not rights exemption. If you're using rights that have to do with human subjects research, that's not human rights. And you can't say human rights and subject rights. That's a contradiction. Which now you're void. Now rights don't apply. Now there's no rights. The exemptions that they're giving and attaching things like Declaration of Helsinki and Nuremberg Code are for experimental human subjects. not human beings that have nationalities. This better sink in with you, because when you put yourself in the jurisdiction, that means they didn't do it. And you can't go after them after they railroad you, because you put yourself in the jurisdiction. Yeah, they're going to give you some subject rights for right now, but when it's time to experiment, you got the card verifying that you're not talking about human rights and Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People. You're talking about Nuremberg Code, which is for human subjects. Human subjects research is systematic scientific investigation that can be either interventional or observational and involves human beings as research subjects, commonly known as test subjects. Human subject research can be either medical research or non-medical research. Why are you going to put yourself in the jurisdiction of be a subject when you have a nationality? You're El or Bay and you're talking about Nuremberg Code. Right? Because when you check, right, just as the Morse said it, let's just check. Because we have the human subject. Right? We have the human subject. Now, subject is a different thing as well. In logic, that concerning which the affirmation is a proposition, in a proposition is made. The first word in a proposition, an individual matter considered as the object of legislation. The constitutions of several of the states require that every act of the legislature shall relate to but one subject, which shall be expressed in the title of the statute. Constitutional law, one that owns allegiance to a sovereign and is governed by his laws. The natives of Great Britain are subjects of the British government. Men in free governments are subjects as well as citizens. As citizens, they enjoy rights and franchises. As subjects, they are bound to obey the laws. The term is little used in this sense in countries enjoying a republican form of government. In Scotch law, the thing which is the object of an agreement subjection. So that's separate than human subject, which is for experimentation. A human being who volunteers themselves to be experimented on. A subject is one who owns allegiance to a sovereign and is governed by his laws. The term is little used in this sense in countries enjoying a republican form of government. So being subject wouldn't even apply here. Because if you're talking United States of America government and all that stuff, then you're talking about republic, which would mean there is no subject stuff. Honors to all the Moors worldwide. Peace and love to all. Study, study, study. Honors to all the mothers and all the Moors worldwide. And honors to the Prophet, Noble Juali. Islam. Peace and love.